Vietnam, 1969, 173rd Airborne Brigade, A Company, 1st Battalion. I walked point with a machete. I returned from Vietnam January 7th, 1970. My mother handed me a letter. The individual that had taken my place on walking point was dead before I hit the States. Being upset, I went to try to find an avenue. I found out that I really wasn't old enough to have an alcohol drink. 20 years of not understanding the impact of Vietnam in my heart, and not my family not understanding the impact of who I was and the journey that I had taken in the jungles of Vietnam, how it impacted my life, and through this awareness, hopefully it can impact answers and give detailed information of how to deal with our returning veterans from Iraq and Afghanistan. In 1990, I was put in the first combat veteran in the PTSD program in Miami. Through my efforts in the PTSD program, I realized very quick that if you had a drug problem, you could go to NA. If you had an alcohol problem, you could go to AA. But if you have a PTSD problem, there was no program. Friend of mine, founder Robert Guthrie, and myself decided we needed a group that we could talk about post-traumatic stress disorder. We enacted a program called the PTSA. We registered in the state of Florida January 1, 1991. Our efforts began at the Miami VA. We had groups set up to try to have combat veterans come in and share experiences strictly on PTSD. Shortly after I left Miami VA, Hurricane Andrew came through Miami, wiped out thousands of people living in the woods and living underneath bridges. Come to find out, that temporary storm, most of the people underneath the bridges were veterans. Our journey began to understand PTSD. So in 1992, we set a march from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. We marched to the Vietnam Memorial Wall with our vans and some friends, trying to get PTSD awareness. We do a lot of information for ourselves and through our community, but our community at large needs to have professional therapists, need to have professional people show and share what the impact is for PTSD. For myself, not understanding psychic numbing, I couldn't understand why I was so cold-hearted. Not understanding avoidance, for 25 years, I would not watch TV. My children were impacted because when a program would come on, they would turn the TV off for me. Early 3 years ago, we started getting an avenue to try to save our homeless veterans while we continue to fight for PTSD awareness. We enacted a program called National Veterans Homeless Support. We have search and rescue teams in the field daily to reach out and find our veterans and plug them into the system so they may get some help if their symptoms fall in the guidelines of PTSD or TBI. The day that this avenue came in for the PTSD in the law in the state of Florida, Sunday at 7:30, Ms. Jackie Colon, former commissioner of our county, delivered me the resolution that the state of Florida, Governor Charlie Crist, had enacted a law so we may gain more knowledge through awareness, starting with December 13th till the 21st. Through this effort with our governor, through this effort with our veterans, through the awareness, maybe we could teach our family, our kids, our grandfathers, our veterans' dependents. So through more awareness, the healing will begin. And I also have with me today our vice president from NVHS, and I would like to share with you some information from Miss Dorothy Walsh.
Thank you, George. My name is Dorothy Walsh. I'm the vice president of NVHS. I'm the daughter, sister, cousin, aunt of veterans. I moved down to Florida from New York about 5 years ago and had no idea what our veterans go through. And George Taylor and NVHS have brought to my mind the realization of what our veterans, these men and women who fought for our freedom are actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis. We go out into the woods and we take our veterans out of the woods. These are the people who fought for us. They live in the woods. They live in tents because a lot of them cannot deal with society, and that's due to PTSD. PTSD is a war injury. It is a combat injury. It's not a physical, you can't see it, but it is there. And it not only affects the veteran, but it affects their whole family. I've had many, many parents say to me, I just want my son back. I just want my daughter back. The one who left before they left for Iraq or Afghanistan. Because the PTSD has totally changed them. And our government needs to recognize that, and we need to do something. And now, thanks to George Taylor, the government of Florida will be doing more for our veterans with PTSD. And I want to thank them. And I want to thank you.